What's up everyone, and thank you for stopping by the channel. Today's project is this Stihl trimmer, and the problem is that it runs, but it won't get to full speed. On top of that, the kill switch won't work either. Let's take a good look at it, find out what's wrong with it, and hopefully we can fix it. In this video, we try and repair this trimmer. However, it may not be the exact repair you need to make to yours. We'll explore other options later in the video. In the last video, we serviced the carburetor, which was the reason why it didn't start. We also adjusted it so we could get it to idle, but unfortunately it didn't get up to full speed. And when we tried to stop the engine, we found out that the kill switch didn't work either. So there was a lot wrong with this trimmer. For reference, I'm going to start the engine and show you both problems. That way you can see if it's the same problem on your trimmer. In the last video, we had to press the primer bulb way too many times, but it's working fine now. As you can see, it won't rev up at all, and I had to use the choke to stop the engine since the kill switch isn't working. Before we start guessing why it's not revving up, let's start at the most likely cause, which is the throttle cable and linkage. Now, since we had to remove the carburetor in the last video, we had to disconnect the cable from multiple holes in the linkage. We'll first check there to make sure that it wasn't put in the wrong position. Now, while holding the carburetor in place and squeezing the trigger, we can see the cable isn't moving that much. The reason is because it's in the wrong anchor hole. It was supposed to be in the lowest anchor point on the linkage, and it's in 2 spots over. Simply remove the cable from its spot and put it in the lowest anchor point. After that, we'll squeeze the trigger and see if it moves the linkage all the way open. Okay, that seems to have fixed the revving up problem, but before we put everything back together, I want to remove the red limiter caps because I think we'll need all the adjustment we can get. Now remember, the screw near the engine is for low speed adjustment, while the screw near the filter is for high speed adjustment. Turn the screws counterclockwise for more fuel, while turning it clockwise is for less fuel. The next thing I want to do is remove the muffler and check on the piston and the ring. And if you're curious about a clogged spark arrestor screen, well, someone's already removed it. It's just these 4 holes to keep the sparks from flying out of the muffler. Now we can see inside the cylinder, and it looks okay. But to see the piston and the ring, slowly pull on the starter rope and you should be able to see it. The ring is the shiny part, and it could look just a little bit better. But the side of the piston, however, looks terrible. I think at some point it was ran with a very light oil and gas mixture. That's probably why its compression number is kind of low, but there's still plenty of compression left for this thing to run. Now, we still need to put the engine cover back on so we can test to make sure that the engine is revving up like it's supposed to. Now, another reason why your engine wouldn't get up to full speed is that the carburetor is way out of tune. It could be starving for fuel, or there could be way too much fuel. In the last video, we did try adjusting the carburetor, only to find out that it didn't matter what kind of adjustment we made, it still didn't change anything. It's now revving up a whole lot better than it did before. Unfortunately, anyone can make this kind of mistake, but hopefully it won't happen again. We still need to tune the carburetor for better performance, but at least this time the adjustments will make a real difference to the engine speed since we can now get to wide open throttle. The last thing we need to do is fix the broken kill switch. That way we don't have to keep choking it to stop it. Now I have overlooked this fix in past videos, but I'm going to fix it this time. The first thing we need to do is remove the orange front cover. Now we might have to remove the trigger to get extra clearance for the shaft to get around the engine. The pull handle doesn't have to come off either, you can just angle it through the opening. The foam grip needs to come off, which is fine since the tape job on it looks pretty terrible. So here's the kill switch lever, and it seems to be only a mechanical lever. It means it's probably making contact with something underneath this plastic cover. I'm going to remove the rear cover yet again, just in case we have to remove the other cover to see what's making contact. To get a better shot of the front of the engine, I'm going to remove the trigger so we can get the shaft and the front cover out of the way. And unfortunately, we're going to have to remove the clutch bell and the clutch to remove the plastic cover, and that's something I'm not prepared to do. And it looks like we may not have to, because it looks like the switch comes out of the plastic cover. The sight window in the plastic cover was on purpose. It allows you to see the contact it makes with a metal tab. That tab grounds out the coil and kills the engine. I know it's tough to see, but it's no longer making contact with the engine to ground it out, so all we have to do is bend the metal tab just a bit, and it should work after that. Well, it looks like it's making decent contact, but the only way to tell is to put everything back together, start it up, and then try it out. At least we'll get a chance to recover this foam handle with some much needed new tape. Another reason why the kill switch may not be working are bad switch contacts. Most newer trimmers use an electrical switch to ground the ignition coil to kill the spark and stop the engine. I think this is the first time I've ever seen this type of mechanical contact system. It's just strange because I've worked on trimmers older than this one and they still used an electrical switch. I'm going to consider a different type of handle cover, as this type of tape will probably come loose again once summer arrives. If you have an idea, I'd definitely like to consider it. And luckily for us, the switch is working just like it's supposed to. Now I did try to adjust the high-speed screw by reducing the fuel twice, but it did little to no effect when squeezing the throttle. If I had to guess, it's probably because the engine is worn out, but it's just a guess. It's still performing much better though, and we should be ready for mowing season. So my question is, would you have gone through the trouble of taking off the clutch just to fix the grounding wire, or would you have done what I did, which was just bend it through the sight window? I know how I feel about it, but I'm more curious about your answer. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time. Please feel free to ask any questions, and I hope to see you in my next video.